watching Sun TV, broadcasting to the world from studios in Providenciales, in the beautiful by nature Turks and Caicos Islands. Sun TV, your source for real news as it happens.
Garland, and thanks for watching. At least 5 candidates in the November 9th general elections will have to give up their citizenships in foreign countries if they want to become members of parliament in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Sun TV understands that the PDM Deputy Leader Charlene Cartwright Robinson, PDM candidate Oral Selver, PNP candidates Akira Missick and Portia Stubbs, and PPP candidate Dr. Ed Smith are among those candidates who were not born in the Turks and Caicos Islands or who have dual citizenship. Although having dual citizenship does not prevent them from running as candidates, under the Constitution they cannot, however, be members of the House of Assembly. Section 49 of the Constitution, which comes into force on October 15th, says, "No person shall be qualified to be an elected member of the House of Assembly who on the date of his or her nomination for election is by virtue of his or her own act under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to any foreign power or state." Sun TV has learned that the Attorney General's Chambers has been involved in the matter, and the candidates were told that they must be guided by the Constitution. Director of Strategy in the Governor's Office, Dr. Philip Rushbrook, said candidates with dual citizenship should not take any chances, and they should contact the Attorney General, Hugh Shepherd, if they have any queries.
The Constitution is quite clear. This Constitution was produced over an 18-month period, involved a large amount of consultation, and the final constitutional settlement talks last July 2011. It's quite clear that if someone holds an allegiance to a foreign power, then they are not eligible to stand for election. Now the question is, what is allegiance to a foreign power? I spoke with the Attorney General, and the Attorney General's information he gave me was that everybody's circumstances are different. So if someone has a concern that they may have a problem with disqualification, then they should refer to Dudley Lewis in writing their personal circumstances, and then Dudley Lewis will discuss it with the Attorney General to see if their circumstances are one where this disqualification applies. Just to give some sort of indication of what sort of allegiance to a foreign power could be, but not wishing to sort of take into account individual circumstances, holding a foreign passport, which you obtained after the age of 18, could be construed as allegiance to a foreign power. If you've worked or are working in some way, even if it's part-time, with a foreign public service where you have to swear an oath of allegiance, perhaps in the court service or in a judicial role or in the civil service, then that could again be construed as a foreign power. If you are a serving member or a reservist to a foreign military force, that could be regarded as allegiance to a foreign power. So because everybody's circumstances are different, it is, I think, much more sensible to treat this on an issue-by-issue basis in conjunction with the supervisors of elections and the Attorney General.
Up to the time of this report, we have confirmed that 2 candidates have agreed to give up their foreign citizenships. In recent years, several politicians throughout the Caribbean have lost their seats in Parliament because they had dual citizenship. But PPP leader Harold Charles said it is not fair to ask persons to renounce their citizenship before they win. He said it makes more sense to renounce it after they win the elections.
Which I'm sure you all would agree that most of the Turks and Caicos Islanders that have American passport, it's an advantage for them, because since we don't have all the institutions, universities and stuff in Turks and Caicos Island, I'm sure they would like to take some advantage of it. And personally, what I would suggest to the government to do is to let the process go through, let the election go through. Now, once you win the election, that's when you have to give it up or step out. I do agree some of the Turks and Caicos Islanders want it, but I do not believe it's the view of the majority of the Turks and Caicos Islanders, because a lot of those meetings was poorly attended anyway. So, I mean, it is sad to see where the minority are making the decisions for the majority. And the reason why I say the majority did not agree to it is because the majority of the young people, the youth of this country, was born overseas. So I don't think they would agree to allow such law or constitutions to go in place to disadvantage them of that. So that's how I feel about it. But like I say, I do agree, if someone is an elected member, they should renounce the citizenship from another country. I do agree with that. But again, why we want to do Jamaica and another country have done it, but it's only after you become elected, then you have to give it up. You see my point? So that's the adjustment that I would like for the government to do. Now, once you become...
Ruth Blackman has tendered her resignation as host of Expressions, a call-in program on the state-owned Radio Turks and Caicos. Blackman, a retired clerk of parliament, tendered her resignation last week before she received a letter placing her on administrative leave for bringing the interim administration into disrepute. On one of her recent shows, Blackman was critical of certain aspects of the interim government. Here's what she had to say about the situation.
The manager of RTC, when they indicated that the Broadcasting Commission was going to be dismantled and they were going to repeal the ordinance, the Broadcasting Commission ordinance, and the government, the radio station was going to be operated under one of the ministries, one of the different ministries. I believe it ended up being the Ministry of Something Services, I'm not sure. And so I indicated to the manager that I was no longer interested in staying on because it would mean that I would have to abide by all the laws and regulations and financial instructions governing the public service. And I had already retired from the public service, so I had no, I didn't want to go back into the public service. So when they dismantled the board and when they repealed the ordinance, they sent letters out to the staff of Radio Turks and Caicos as well as myself, saying that I was offered the position as host of Expressions, what they call a freelance position, but also that I have to abide by financial instructions, the public service rules and regulations, and the public service ordinance. So I told Chris that I would have stayed on until the end of the month, and then I would leave at the 1st of October. But he asked me to stay on because I had lined up a number of shows for them. The last week, Wednesday, I interviewed Eddie Oxford. I had him on the show. And while we were on the show, I raised the question or the issue of that Haitian speedboat that had come into Provo, and the press release that was put out by the police saying that the speedboat didn't follow the instructions of the police, and the police instructed them to stop. They outran the police daringly, and they offloaded their cargo and their drugs. They threw the drugs overboard, and they went into the marine or some area in South Grove. And I said that was a dismal bit as far as the business is concerned. They can't say that the question of immigration and patrolling our borders is a dismal failure on their part, and they need to let the country know that they are in charge of border patrol. They are in charge of everything that is going on, and they failed us in that regard. They really failed us as far as that is concerned. And the other concern I expressed is the amount of drugs that are in the street. And as a result of these Haitian troops coming here, dropping their cargo off on the different keys and the different areas of Providenciales. And then also they have to take responsibility for that because it happened under their watch. And then when they talk about the other issue I raised was the personal assistance to ministers that they're seeking to recruit. And I said that they should shelve that issue for the time being because they're departing from the normal practice, and the normal practice is that ministers, the premier would appoint the personal assistance under the direction of his ministers, and they ought to leave that matter for when ministers come in office. And so they sent me a letter saying that I brought the interim administration into disrepute, and I am on administrative leave, not knowing that I had already tendered my resignation.
A black Chrysler 300 car was discovered in a canal in the area of Discovery Bay, Providenciales, with extensive damages to the front bumper on Sunday, October 7th. The vehicle was last seen on Friday, October 5th in the Discovery Bay area where it was parked by its owner. On Sunday at 7:30 a.m., the vehicle was discovered missing. Police are investigating. Residents of the Turks and Caicos Islands will be given the chance to be involved in the debate on whether it is right that a boy and a girl can have sex at 16 but cannot get birth control without parental consent until 18 or marry without parental consent until 21. These questions will form part of a new consultation which is seeking increased consistency on age limits across the Turks and Caicos Islands. Acting Governor Patrick Boyle said there is clearly a lack of consistency and a real incoherence in some of the age limits that are applied in the TCI. He said these can cause confusion among people as to how the law applies to them. Boyle said the variety of these different age limits can lead to confusion and mistakes in their application in daily life. And that is why the Turks and Caicos Islands government is conducting the consultation to ask the public for their views as to whether the current age limits are still considered to be the right ones for the TCI or if they need to be changed. Boyle said the interim government is aiming to help resolve this matter by asking the people of this country what they think, but it will be for the newly elected government and governor in cabinet to consider the responses and what changes should be made. The consultation takes the form of a questionnaire published today on the TCIG website, www.gov.tc. Respondents should complete and return the questionnaire to either the Chief Executive Officer's office or to the Human Rights Commission. The consultation will be held until Friday, the 2nd of November 2012, after which the results will be reviewed by a team comprising of persons from the Ministry of the Environment and Home Affairs, the Youth Department, and the Human Rights Commission before it is presented to the Cabinet. This team will also hold workshops for young adults to aid in the collection of opinions. That's our Sun TV News package for today, Wednesday, October 10th, 2012. Until next time when we bring you more real news as it happens, directly to your computer, your mobile phone, or your tablet. Until then, I'm Leslie Garland, and thanks for watching.